What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 105 of the Access to Combat podcast. I'm one half of your host, Hugo the Boss. Hugo got next. Hugo wearing this Yankee cap because I'm slumping just like these fucking bums. Joined by my co-host.
It's your boy Ray Boogie Kahuna. On today's episode, we're going to be breaking down UFC 317, Topuria versus Oliveira. On the PFL end, we got more semifinals action to conduct. And on the boxing end, we got some Jake Paul, we got some Mbilli, we got some Deontay Wilder. We even got a little bit of Jack Catterall, but before we get into any of that, my brother, please tell him what the deal is.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying the visual portion of this podcast, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know.
First fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have Sedriques Dumas going one-on-one with Jackson McVey. The Reaper, Dumas, 10-3 overall, fighting out of Pensacola, Florida, 29 years old. The Moose, McVey, perfect, 6-0, fighting out of St. Louis, Missouri, 26 years old. A last-minute addition to this card. Last I read about Dumas, he was in a bit of trouble with the law over 2 weeks ago. I guess he made bail, and this fight, he's going to be fighting for some bail money. Going one-on-one here with a guy with two last names. Mama said don't trust a guy with three last names. You might be able to trust a guy with two last names, though. Jackson McVey, the Moose, undefeated fighter coming out of the LFA. This fight feels like an LFA fight. Dumas, a guy who really hasn't lived up to the potential. Dumas is probably going to be favored. By how much, I don't know. Jackson, on the other hand, a guy who hasn't left the first round. Undefeated fighter, 6 finishes, 3 knockout, 3 sub. I am going to be picking Jackson here, even though he lacks a lot of experience in general, particularly UFC experience. I think it's time to get off the Dumas train. This is a guy who I can trust to walk forward, a guy who I can trust to finish. This is going to be a fight between two guys who are still very green, but I do trust the upside a little more of the newcomer. Give me the Moose here to overpower the Reaper. ITD.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Moose here. I think Moose is a little more of a polished finisher at this point in his career. Dumas is a decision fighter, and he let me down so badly the last fight against Jacek. That was a guy that was tailor-made to be taken down and controlled for numerous minutes in that fight. And this guy, like Jacek, pressures, pushes forward, puts damage. Dumas just struggles with people who pressure. I'm just going to call him one last time to let me down at my funeral. That's what he's going to do. He might drop me while I'm in the fucking casket. So for me, this is the newcomer's win, in my opinion. I think he gets it done via ITD. I think he probably chokes him because Dumas does present some issues on the feet. I think he eventually works to the back or he club and subs him, gets him out of there. The Moose via ITD.
Next fight on the card at men's bantamweight, we have Payton Talbott going one-on-one with Jungle Boy, Felipe Lima. Talbott, 9-1, fighting out of Reno, Nevada, 26 years old. Lima, 14-1, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 27 years old. A surprising matchup that they made here. I guess after Payton Talbott's last performance, it doesn't feel like they're abandoning the experiment here, but
they're definitely looking to test it.
100%. This is a great fight between two up-and-coming prospects. We all know what Talbott can do, but we also know his deficiencies. He gets hit a lot. He's got trouble with wrestling. Lima should be able to exploit both. I think this fight probably goes the distance. I think Lima might struggle with his initial entries at first, but I think his grappling is good enough where I think he can take Talbott's back, hold him down for a round, maybe even get a sub. If you like the Talbott side, it's KO or bust. The kid's got hands. I'm going to be leaning Felipe here for the win in a fight that, I don't think people are going to want to miss.
Yeah, this is the first good fight of a banger fucking card. And this is a card that you want to have everything done before you start watching, to be frank. You don't want to move. But this fight's interesting for a lot of reasons. I think the overs, particularly if they set them at 1.5, I think it's going to be over. I think this fight probably goes to decision. Lima, Talbot, both extraordinarily durable. Lima is the more technically sound fighter. I think he has the wrestling upside. I think he has the grappling upside. I also think he might be a little more versatile on the feet. He'll mix in kicks better. He has better spinning back kicks. He'll throw in spinning elbows, and he goes to his boxing as well. Talbot has 4 inches in height on him and 2 inches in reach. There's going to be a size deficiency here, or rather a size differential. Lima is going to be a lot smaller than him, but don't let that fuck you up because Lima has fought up a weight class
twice.
And won in impressive fashion. This is a guy who probably didn't even need to go through the Contender Series. Actually, technically, he skipped the line, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah, he bypassed the Contender Series.
Yeah, which says a lot because in terms of how Dana is scouting these guys, he likes to streamline a lot of his guys through that series. And the fact that this guy could cut the fucking line and just jump right into it says a lot about him and his skills. And I know his last fight was against Miles Johns, but dude, Miles Johns is a good fighter. That guy is a tough fight for any guy on any given night, considering he looks like a walking pharmacy. And on top of that, he's actually got a pretty good fight IQ with decent power in wrestling. So the fact that Lima was able to get through that guy on short notice, and now he's going against a guy that's not going to present the same grappling. I mean, this is Lima's fight to lose. Talbot's sitting at a plus 150, so I get if you want to play him, but I'm with my brother here. I don't think he's winning the minutes in this fight. I think if you play him, you got to play him by knockout. I think this is Lima's fight to lose, though, because I think he has many more ways to win. Give me Lima by decision here.
Next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have Jhonata and Diniz going one-on-one with Guzzi. Alvin Hines. Diniz, 8-1 overall, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 34 years old. Hines, perfect, 7-0, fighting out of Minnesota, 33 years old. I'll start on the Alvin Hines side here. We got Guzzi here, 7-0, making his debut. Tough matchup in my opinion. He's labeled a grappler, and on paper, he should have the advantage. But I do think Hines has really just got one good round in him. I think after the first round, he slows down a bit. Striking kind of looks like he's a bit underwater. Combine that with the fact that the guy made his pro debut 2 years ago and has fought just a couple of cans. I think Diniz, with his experience, with his UFC experience, with his kickboxing experience, should get this one done. Diniz also has improved takedown defense, at least enough where I think it holds up in this particular fight. I think this is Deniz's fight to lose. I think Diniz wins by KO. He's going to have the fastest striking, and I think Guzzi is going to get put to sleep. So give me Diniz here for the win. I say by knockout.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Hines is going to get turned into Heinz tomato ketchup in this fight. He has one round to figure this out. I don't think he's going to. I think Diniz is going to be able to weather whatever he's got for him in the first round. And then as this fight progresses, I think second, third round, he packs him up. Give me Jhonata Diniz to knock this motherfucker out. I think he gets him out of there. So
next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have the hybrid Niko Price going one-on-one with Jacobe Smith. Price, 16-8 overall, fighting out of Cape Coral, Florida, 35 years old. Smith, perfect, 10-0, fighting out of Dallas, Texas, where them Texas boys at, 29 years old. They doing Niko Price dirty here, in my opinion. Jacobe, very impressive. Hard to find kind of any flaws in his game. He's a good striker, a better wrestler. Niko Price has, unfortunately, been set up here to become the doormat for this guy. I think Jacob finishes his man inside the distance. I think he packs him up. I think Price is going to go out big sad in this one. He's going to get fucked up, in my opinion. Give me Jacobe Smith here to run him over. I'd say ITD. I think it's 50-50 on whether it's sub or KO, but I think he packs him up. This fight doesn't reach the third round.
Yeah, you could make a strong argument Niko Price shouldn't be fighting anymore, particularly after his 2 leg surgeries. He has had bad knees. He has a bad back. I don't even know how he's getting licensed to fight, ladies and gentlemen. This is a complete mismatch. He's going to get fucked up in this fight. It's sad because I like Niko. He's a great personality. At his peak, like he was like the Bionic Man, super... like looked like he was made in a lab with his shoulders and his dimensions. But man, this is a guy who's a complete diminished self at this point. And I just feel like this is a Jacobe Smith who he is a fucking hammer. He is very good. He's very talented, doesn't use his wrestling. And that's probably the best part of his game. He's knocking dudes out. Strikers, by the way. So for me, this is Jacobe Smith's fight to lose. I expect him to pack him up.
They would have been packing him up.
And get him the fuck out of there. I think the under 1.5 is probably something to take a look at in this fight. Considering the line, his knockout, and ITD is going to be juiced as hell. Maybe a parlay piece, low-key. Stay tuned. Follow us on all social media platforms as usual.
Next fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have the Hurricane. Hyder Amil going one-on-one with Jose Delgado. Amil, perfect, 11-0, fighting out of San Francisco, California, 35 years old. Delgado, 9-1 overall, fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, 27 years old. This is going to be a very entertaining fight. Amil and Delgado, a lot of their fights are very entertaining, so I expect nothing less but a straight up bar burner. I've tried fading Amil personally in the past. I thought William Gomis, was smart enough, technical enough to keep Amil on the outside, fuck him up, stop his takedowns. But Amil, man, that guy's a son of a bitch, man.
Could make an argument Gomis won the fight, though.
It was a very close fight. Could have went either way. Amil's got a blockhead. Will take 17 punches to throw 3 of them himself. He's a Stockton boy. He's got jiu-jitsu. He's got grappling. Doesn't really go to it, though. Going against a guy here who, in Delgado, is a very good striker in his own right. Knows how to use his range. Throws a jab.
And can wrestle, too.
And he's got underrated jits. This fight's going to be... This is going to be one. But I think I'm a little afraid. I think I'm a little tired of fading Amil here. The guy is undefeated. He is older here. I might look like an asshole, but give me the hurricane here to bring the storm. I like this fight to finish either way. I don't think this fight goes the distance. Give me Amil here for the win.
Yeah, we got Dominic Cruz. Well, Giga Dominic Cruz here.
Caveman Dom.
Yeah, like literally. Fights like a caveman, but looks like a better looking version of Dom Cruz. And his last name is Amil. You probably could make a mill on him if you like playing dog money, but he might also be the artist that Jay-Z signed back in the day that was fucking terrible.
That's a deep cut.
That's a deep cut. Welcome to New York, bitch. But but what I will say is I think he's not the diminished artist. I think this is definitely a possible dog or pass spot. But my brother's more on Amil than I am for this fight. I like Delgado a lot. I like his skills. I think he's the much more skilled fighter. On the feet, I think if he lands on him the way Gomes did, he might drop him, hurt him a couple of times. Plus, he does have grappling upside a bit. I don't think he's better than Amil, but I do think if he can get top position, he can win minutes.
It can get spicy.
I do think that's where he can win this fight with some control time mixed in with some good, precise power punching and kicking. He is by far, in my opinion, the more technical striker. So for me, this is Delgado's fight to lose, but I don't hate the dog spot on Amil. But for me, the lean is going to be Delgado.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have T-Rex, Terrance McKinney going 1-on-1 with Viacheslav Borshchev, a.k.a. Slava Claus. McKinney, 16-7 overall, fighting out of Orlando, Florida, 30 years old. Borshchev, 8-5-1, fighting out of Sacramento, California, but repping Russia, 33 years old. Another exciting fight on this card, but it's another fight that I think is kind of easy to break down. We know how Terrance McKinney fights go. He's first round of bust for the most part. He's probably going to be the favorite here.
He is.
His wrestling is A1. His striking is very solid. Guy's got a decent amount of power. The issue with every Terrance McKinney fight is that the man just burns out. Dog shit cardio. And the IQ is definitely suspect. On the Borshchev side, he is older, but he is the more experienced striker, the more experienced kickboxer. And while the weakness in his game is the wrestling, he has shown improved wrestling every fight he's come out. But this is the best wrestler he has fought, I think, in my opinion. It's McKinney early. It's Slava Claus late. Fight shouldn't go. Give me McKinney here, tentatively, low confidence. Maybe if you can get a live entry on Slava Claus, that's probably the best way to bet this one. But this fight don't go either way. Give me McKinney here by sub.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I'm not betting minus 200 on a Terrance McKinney fight.
Nah, that's gross.
Ever. This is first round of bust for him. If you think he's going to win, it's probably going to be in the first round. I have a strong feeling I think Borshchev's going to figure out a way to survive the first round and get after him the second, third round. And this because he's had Chase Hooper on top of him, and it took Chase Hooper midway into the second round to Darce choke him. Managed, and that was after an ass whooping the first round. So I know he's not going to get easily deterred if he gets his ass whooped.
That's a good point. I completely forgot about that Chase Hooper fight.
Yeah, he had Tom Nolan, but Tom Nolan kind of just controlled him, used his size, did what he had to do. This is a Terrance McKinney, man, who, after the first round, man, he's sucking air. Pause. And the dude is looking for the fucking door. If he doesn't get you out of there, he's going to get out of there. Borshchev is not going to be deterred. I think he has enough to survive this guy on the floor, unless, the worst case scenario is if Terrance gets his back and just flattens him out. As I think even if he mounts him, he'll be okay. He's going to get hit. There's no way Borshchev's not going to walk through fire in this fight. I think second, third round Borshchev is live here, and you can easily bet method and round knockout here because he's going to not sub him. He's going to knock him out. If it gets out the first round, Borshchev is going to fuck him up.
Borshchev is definitely one of the better dogs on this card.
100%. So for me, I agree with how my brother's looking at this. I think it's Terrance McKinney early, ICD first round. But if you're looking at it, it's Borshchev knockout second, third round. And that's how you play this fight. I want to look at the numbers, see how they look. If it's like plus 650, plus 750, considering he's a dog, I will definitely slam the shit out of that. So, but I do think if he gets taken out in the first round, there's a good chance he doesn't get up because not the best get up game. And this is a Terrance McKinney who is fucking heavy on top. But like I said, not the highest fight IQ, like my brother mentioned as well. Give me Borshchev is a live dog here, especially from a live betting standpoint, second and third round knockout.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have the Joker, Jack Hermansson, going one-on-one with RoboCop, Gregory Rodrigues. Hermansson, 24-8 overall, fighting out of Norway, but repping Sweden, 37 years old. Rodrigues, 16-6 overall, fighting out of Deerfield Beach, Florida, but repping Brazil, 33 years old. Another great fight. Another fight where, me and my brother might be at some odds here. I'm going to be leaning HoboCop here, only because this ain't no Joe Pyfer. HoboCop, very explosive, very physical, hammer in both hands, not afraid to go to his grappling. Hermansson has struggled against bigger, more powerful strikers before. I like HoboCop here to get this one done either by knockout or decision. I just hope that HoboCop is, locked in, because Hermansson, tricky veteran, very good, very smart, high IQ, will have a game plan to fuck Rodrigues up here. But at the end of the day, Hermansson, dead or alive, he's coming with me. Give me HoboCop for the win.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of this, and I think there's like a lot of value on Jack Hermansson as a dog. Jack has a better footwork. Jack is a decent grappler. He's a better grappler than Cannonier. Not as physical, which is where this fight gets interesting. That's the real question to this fight, the physicality edge. But if you're asking me, Jack Hermansson was able to manage Joe Pyfer, who is kind of Gregory Rodrigues-esque, particularly in the first round. If he can manage Joe Pyfer, I think he can manage Gregory Rodrigues. But if Gregory lands on him, I could see him hurting him. If Gregory gets on top of him, it's going to be fucking curtains, because Gregory can grapple his fucking ass off. But if you're asking me, between Hermansson's footwork and Hermansson's ability to manage space, his fight IQ, his decision-making, I feel like he can give Gregory a lot of trouble in this fight. He probably won't stop him. He probably get to a decision on this one. So I'm curious as to what the Jack Hermansson decision is on this. It's a sneaky over, too, as well, because if they said it at 1.5, I suggest you smash the over. Give me Jack Hermansson for the possible upset here. But I don't hate you, Gregory Rodrigues betters. He's definitely like, this is a very interesting fight. Probably a fight that I'm probably going to stay off of because there's a lot of variables. But for podcast sake, Jack Hermansson as the lead.
Next fight on the card at women's flyweight, we have Viviana Arujau going one-on-one with Tracy Cortez. Arujau is 13-6 overall, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 38 years old. Cortez is 11-2 overall, fighting out of Scottsdale, Arizona, 31 years old. Solid women's flyweight fight here. I think Cortez is probably the side purely based on the grappling alone. But I think from a betting perspective, this line is wide enough. I think Arujau is a bit live, only because I think she has solid takedown defense. I mean, that being said, this is the best wrestler that she's going to be facing. Also, I think on the feet, it's a little more competitive than I think people want to give it credit for. Tracy Cortez's boxing is decent, but Arujau also has solid striking of her own. Also, the more active fighter. Arujau, in my opinion, has the tools to make this one interesting. And if Cortez fucks around, she can find out, but she should be able to get to her wrestling. No one's finishing anybody. Give me Cortez here, tentatively by decision.
This is a fight that has dog or pass written all over it. I'm with you. The more I think about it and the more you talk through it, we talked about it pre-podcast as well, I feel like there's a lot of things that are going on in this fight. Another fight that I probably don't have a ton of interest betting on because Arujau's fucking 38 years old. What I will say is that Tracy did do an interview where she had some questions about her future at MMA, particularly after losing the Rose. And this is not the Doug Rose Namajunas at 115. This is just the Rose Namajunas at 125. This is a girl that is beatable. She is exploitable. Rose, yeah, she did take that fight on short notice too. So Tracy's credit. But the fact of how she was talking after the fight kind of gave me some worries as to where her headspace is at in MMA and her commitment to MMA in general. In addition, I'm also with you on the point that Arujau is more active. This is Tracy's first fight in a year. I don't know what she's doing in camp. I don't know if she's making particular improvements. And when I'm questioning your commitment to the game, it gets a little worrisome in the fight business. With that said, I think Arujau as a dog, she's more active. She fought 6 months ago. She set back Karine Silva, who I think is got a little bit more commitment to the MMA game than Tracy Cortez at this point.
Also, she's more physical than Cortez. Cortez might have her beat technically, but I mean, Karine Silva's a big physical woman.
Correct. The only reason I'm even leaning Tracy in this fight is because I've seen Tracy deal with Jasmine Jasudavicius, who's fucking physical as shit. So for me, this is dog or pass. A fight that I don't know if I have a ton of interest betting on, but if this line gets more disrespectful towards Viviane, I think it warrants a dog shot considering all the intangibles we just listed to you. But if all things were perfect, it's Tracy, but all things are not perfect. So you got to lean the dog here. Give me Tracy for the lean. Aruja is a possible dog play.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have Raw Dog Brandon Royval going one-on-one with the fearless Joshua Van. Royval, 17-7 overall, fighting out of Colorado, 32 years old. Van, 14-2 overall, fighting out of Houston, Texas, another Texas boy, but repping Myanmar, 23 years old.
Great fucking fight.
Excellent fucking fight. This is going to be a banger. Joshua Van, hella active. This has got to be like his third fight this year.
Second fight in 3 weeks.
Yeah, he is on a tear. I think he might be moving a little too fast, though, in my opinion here.
Agreed.
Royval is not a guy you want to fight without a long, thorough camp. Royval, the more experienced guy here. Royval, who historically has only really struggled against guys who can really fucking mix the martial arts. Josh Van is going to have to whip out some tools here. Pause. Ayo. And maybe, you know, show some grappling prowess as well as his, you know, already well-known and well-established boxing, in my opinion here. On the feet, it's going to be a banger, but I think the difference will be the ground game. I think the difference will be the grappling here. Give me Royval here. I think he's going to put a halt to the Van. Royval here gets this one done. Does he finish him? I don't know. I'm a little 50-50 on it, but I'm pretty confident. I think Josh Van is moving a little too fast here. I think this is Royval's fight to lose.
Yeah, I'm completely with you here, and I'm surprised. Royval actually opened up as a dog. He's sitting at -125, so you don't even have to bet a prop here. I think the money line straight is a good play here. This is a fight where he's going to push the wrestling pace. He's going to put mad volume out there. Even if he loses some of the striking exchanges, he's going to get his in this fight. This is a guy in Royval who's only lost in the UFC level to two people, Pantoja and Moreno. Pantoja twice, and he eventually lost against Moreno. This is a lot to ask for from Van when I don't think anyone's really pushed him with the wrestling. Pushed him with the grappling. Yes, he's been taken down, but I'm talking about a guy who's going to make him work for those fucking positions. The same way Kamaru Usman, like we called on the last podcast, was going to make Joaquin work in certain positions. This is a lot to ask for Van. And yes, I love the activity. He's going to be the sharper puncher in there, but this is not a fight where I'm going to be worried about Royval's layoff and punching. The reason being is because his punching is not the predicate focus of his game, in my opinion. This is a guy who's going to use his punches and kicks to push the wrestling, to push the grappling. And you're telling me a guy with a fucking great gas tank is only going to go 3 rounds? This is Raw Dog's fight to lose, in my opinion, man. I think this is a fight where he's going to be able to push the wrestling. He's going to be able to put Josh down in certain spots. And just like the great John Jones said about Alexander Gustafsson, his question wasn't about whether Gustafsson could wrestle. His question was, if I get Gustafsson down and hold him down on the floor for a couple of seconds, maybe even a minute or two, what can he do? And you saw the deficiencies in Gustafsson's wrestling and grappling from that point on. I fear this is going to be the same situation. If Raw Dog gets a finish here, I'm not going to be surprised. I don't think he will, because he's not historically like the best finisher. But what I will say, it's a situation where he's going to be able to win a lot of minutes in this fight. Josh Van, not a dynamite puncher either. So it's not like Royval is going to get hit and then get killed. For me, this is Royval, Raw Dog all day. Best nickname in the game. Give me Brandon Royval on the money line here.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have Benil Dariush going one-on-one with Money Renato Moicano. Benny Dariush is 26-1 overall, fighting out of Huntington Beach, California, 36 years old. Money Moicano, 26-1 overall, fighting out of Coconut Creek, Florida, but repping Brazil, 36 years old. Another interesting fight, another fight with two guys who are a little bit on the older side of 35, both 36 years old, both coming off of a loss. Benil coming off of 2 losses here in particular. An interesting fight, because a fight where I do think that Benil does have a striker's chance here. He has very heavy hands. Moicano, not the best chin. The grappling is, in my opinion, where this fight gets really interesting, because I do think Moicano's jiu-jitsu is lights out.
Better suited for MMA, in my opinion.
100%.
Even though Beneil has the better accolades, technically, if I was a grappler. But
in terms of like, hey, generically, I would always go the guy with the better wrestling, which I do think Dariush does have the better wrestling here. This is like a big vibes fight for me. This is a fight where I kind of feel like Dariush is a little bit on the downslide. And I think Moicano, even at this stage of his career, is kind of on the upswing. Give me Moicano here. Don't know if it's an upset or not. Didn't really look at the line, but I like Moicano here. I think Moicano gets this one done. I say sub/decision.
Yeah, they have Beneil sitting at a plus 140 right now. I'm not there, to be frank. If you guys have listened to this podcast historically, you guys know how I feel about Dariush. I think he's a little overrated. Not the best chin. Pretty good striking. He set back Matu's Gamrot, but Gamrot doesn't present any striking. My thing is, it's easy for him to stuff the takedowns and land damage on someone like that. It's going to be much more difficult for him to do that against someone like Moicano, who has sharpened up his boxing.
Yeah, underrated striker, actually. Moicano has gone fights where he's just straight done striking.
And this is the thing. Like, this is a guy in Dariush who doesn't have the great chin either. Like, he gets touched and he fucking does the chicken dance as well. So I love the unders in this fight. This fight's not going to go the distance. I'd be very surprised if it did. But this is also a fight where I feel like Moicano, to my brother's point, is on the upswing, and Dariush is trying to catch his footing here. And I think this is a fight that he can win. So I don't hate people who are looking at Dariush as a dog shot here, but if you're asking me, I think losing to Islam Makhachev is not the worst thing in the world. Like, it happens. Like, that guy is the pound for pound best fighter on the planet right now. Outside of the Islam Makhachev fight for BSD, people thought he was going to get smashed by BSD. He fucked him up. Beat the fuck out of Jalen Turner after getting dropped in the first round. So you know he has some decent recoverability, because I thought that fight was over when he got dropped. Beat up Drew Dober. Choked out Brad Riddell. I mean, like, he's kind of been on a tear. I don't even look at the Islam fight too badly, because he took the fight on fucking day notice. So for me, like, I excuse that fight. And then you have Beneil Dariush on the other side, who has literally just been getting stopped by everybody. Got stopped by Arman Sarukian. And by the way, not a big puncher. Made a lot of money in that fight, by the way. Got stopped by Charles Oliveira. Okay, world champion. Get it. But before that, he beat Gamrot, who presents no striking. And before that, he beat up a washed Tony Ferguson. And by the way, in their primes, I think Tony demolishes him. So for me, this is Money Moicano all fucking day. I think he knocks him the fuck out. I think they respect each other so much on the floor, they may not go there. I think this fight stays on the feet, and I think Moicano is a little bit more polished than him at this point in his career, particularly with the boxing. His hands look so good against BSD, so much sharper, and he did that with one arm because he practically had his shoulder blade popping out of his fucking shoulder. Give me Moicano here to get this done via ITD, preferably by knockout.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, and is currently constituted the co-main event of the evening for the flyweight championship. We have the cannibal Alexander Pantoja going one-on-one with Don't Blink Kai Kara-France. Pantoja, 29-5 overall. The champion is hailing from Brazil, repping Brazil, 35 years old. Kai Kara-France, 25-11 overall. Found out of Auckland, New Zealand, repping New Zealand. The challenger is 32 years old. Banger of a fight a long time coming for Kai Kara. Kai Kara has been scratching and clawing his way to this opportunity. Couple of setbacks, some not in his control really. Finally made it to the big stage here. It's unfortunate this fight is the co-main, but you know, obviously we understand why it's the co-main. I'm not really the biggest Kai Kara-France fan. I do keep underestimating his striking. I will give him credit. He is a very good striker. I think he's got underrated power, but I think the guy is just a little overrated. I don't know. There's something about him that kind of just rubs me the wrong way. Call me a hater. I don't give a fuck. This is Pantoja all day. I think grappling is the key here. I think grappling is going to get this one done. I think Pantoja packs this man up. I don't know how, some way, somehow, he's going to go get on Kai Kara's back eventually. I think Pantoja wins via sub here. I don't think this fight goes the distance either way. I think Kai Kara-France's only path to victory here is probably via knockout. I just don't see it happening. Cannibal here for the win.
Yeah, and on the other side, I'm a big KKF fan here, to be frank. I think his striking is vastly underrated. He's going to be the better striker in this fight. I love the unders in this fight. I hope they set it at 4.5, because I think someone is going to get served in this fight. You're telling me Kai can't land on this guy over 20 minutes? There's a guy who knocked out Steve Erceg, and I think Steve Erceg has less striking deficiencies than Pantoja. Pantoja is hittable, but I'm going to lean Pantoja here simply because the most underrated part of his game, I think, is going to be the cancer for Kai in this fight, and it's the wrestling. I think Pantoja has some of the best back takes in MMA. I got back and pack mixed up because he is literally hip and backpack low key. This is a fight that has a lot of variance too in a lot of ways, and it's because Kai is not gonna fight dumb. He has good game plans. Was able to manage Askarov for a big part of their fight and land damage and win that fight as a huge underdog. This is a little different because Pantoja will throw to get into the pocket. He is reckless, but he does know how to close distance. I'm a little agreeing of the line, but I tell you what, if this line goes up even more for Kai and he gets up to like plus 300, I feel like he's an insta play. And I agree with you. I think the way to play him is probably by knockout. I don't see him winning minutes here, even though he's probably going to have the better footwork. This fight's interesting. Like I said, don't be surprised if I get there. Like if I'm up heavy that on Saturday night and I say, fuck it, I'll throw half a unit on Kai. Why not? Because I do think this guy keeps getting overlooked. And the way he got Erceg out of there was impressive. He was doing very good work against Moreno until he got body kicked and finished. I picked him in that fight to beat Moreno. This is a situation where is Pantoja going to make enough mistakes for Kai to capitalize on? And that's where I feel like that's why this fight's interesting. Pantoja makes a lot of fucking mistakes, but I don't know if Kai's going to be able to keep him off of him. So for that reason, I'm going to lean Pantoja, but this fight interests me from a dog perspective, and it stinks a little bit. It does. Give me Pantoja for the lean, but give me Kai as a possible dog play come fight night. Follow us on all social media platforms to see where this line shakes up, but money is pouring in on Pantoja. I'm curious to see where it lands and to see how I will eventually play it.
Next fight on the card, and has currently constituted the main event of the evening for the vacant lightweight championship. We have El Matador, Ilia Topuria, going one-on-one with Dumas, Charles Oliveira. Topuria, perfect, 16-0. Fighting out of Spain, repping Georgia, 28 years old. Dumas, Oliveira is 35-10 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 35 years old. Excellent fight, sick ass fight. A fight that I didn't think was going to happen. I thought it was going to be Topuria going one-on-one with Islam Makhachev. But Bilal ended up
fumbling the bag,
fucking that fight up.
Yep.
He fucked his fight up, which fucked this fight up. So now we got Topuria here fighting for the vacant title. This fight doesn't go the distance, in my opinion. This fight is going to end, I think, within 3, and it's either going to be an Oliveira sub or a Topuria knockout. No two ways about it. Give me a Topuria here. Topuria's got solid grappling, solid wrestling. He hasn't fought a guy like Dumas here, the guy who holds many records in the UFC, a guy who's probably the most wicked submission artist the UFC has seen. But something about El Matador, something about that man. That boxing is crisp, the power in both hands, the setup, the footwork, the IQ, the guy's technical, the guy's on an upswing, momentum is on his side. Dumas is 35 years old. Topuria, young bull. I think he gets this one done. I think he knocks out Dumas in 2. Give me Topuria for the win via KO.
Yeah, I like the unders in this fight. I like the fight doesn't go. I'd be very surprised if this fight didn't go just like our feature fight of the night. I'm going to be honest with you. This fight, I can't get around to the line. They have Topuria sitting at a minus 400. Even they opened him at a minus 380, and I'm still not there.
The guy's moving up a weight class, by the way.
By the way, giving up 3 inches in height and 5 inches in reach. And this is a guy in Dumas who was able to deal with a guy in his last, I think it was 1 or 2 contests ago, maybe the last one, in Armin Sarukian, who I think is a better freestyle wrestler than Topuria. You're telling me that Dumas is going to be fighting a guy that he's going to tower over, who has less freestyle advantages than his previous opponent, who you could make a strong argument Charles won that fight against Armin. This fight is dog or pass, in my opinion. I can't get around to playing Topuria unless it's via knockout or his sub is a crazy number, because I could see Topuria fighting a sub here too, because he's very good on the floor too. But if you're asking me, I think Charles has got the better MMA grappling. He has the more proven MMA grappling. This is a guy in Charles who has worked on his boxing, knows how to fight from the outside, hits very fucking hard. This is a guy in Topuria who gets hit. He got hit by Volkanovski. He lost the first round to Volkanovski. Lost the first 2 rounds to Max Holloway. Dog or pass? This is dog or pass spot all day. Now, you asked me where I think it's going to happen. I think Topuria is eventually going to find the E-switch here. I think he knocks him out. The reason being is because I think the footwork is going to be the big difference in this fight. But this is a Charles Oliveira that doesn't need to get you to the floor to get your fucking back. Did it against Dustin Poirier. Did it against Gaethje. Did it against Michael Chandler. The evidence is there. This guy knows how to get to your back, and he has effective enough striking to keep you honest. And this is also a Topuria, two things, that got almost fucking murdered by Jai Herbert, who has the same dimensions as Charles. Also a Topuria, who is now transitioning fight camps. You see, if you're watching the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, I just backed up from my seat. And if you're not, for the audio listeners, that's the visual. I have concerns in this fight. And I have even more concerns considering how wide this line is and how much it's getting higher, considering that everyone thinks Topuria is going to run this fucking guy over. There's a reason for weight classes. Charles is a fucking world champion. Yes, he lost to Islam. Islam is a fucking welterweight. That's just what it is. Islam does not belong in 55. And it's crazy because if you're asking me, Topuria matches up better with Islam because styles make matchups in MMA. That's just what it is. But if you're asking me, Charles at plus 300? In what world? In what world, man? And I get it. There's a lot of interviews that talk about dropping welterweight and him hitting as hard as a welterweight. I'm sorry, man. Like, speed is a thing. I think Topuria is not the fastest guy. I think he does knock out Charles, to my point, because I think the footwork is going to be able to corral Charles into certain spots where Charles is going to be uncomfortable and won't have an exit. I just think plus 300 is a little fucking insane for a guy that we haven't seen at this weight class. He keeps saying he's walking around at 190. I look at the pictures. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think you weigh 170 at most. I'm just going to put that out there. 170, 180. I'll give you 180. You're not 190. You're 5'7". You're not 190 pounds, bro. Because you're not walking around like Sean Shirk either. That's just what it is. So give me Topuria as the lean for the knockout here. But Charles is possibly a dog play.
And that does it for UFC 317. Moving right along to the PFL. We got week 3 of the semifinals, and we're going to kick it off with Jordan Newman going one-on-one with Khalid Murtazaliev. Not human Newman. Perfect. 7-0 fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 29 years old. Murtazaliev is 17-3 overall fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 31 years old. Interesting fight. On one hand, I think they have Newman lined here as the favorite. He's perfect. He's 7-0. NCAA wrestling background. Really hasn't had to put that wrestling on display in the, I guess I was going to call it the octagon, but I guess it's the smart cage, right? Or
yep.
I don't know what Bellator called their cage, but you know, the cage, I guess, right? The striking's okay. Newman, what makes him a little different, in my opinion, is that even though he's got the wrestling background, he's not afraid to go to submissions, which is kind of rare when you see these guys coming out of, you know, wrestling. They like the control over anything else. On the other end here, we got Murtazaliev, who is a very good grappler. A guy whose striking is not that good, but he doesn't care. He wants to take this fight to the ground. He wants to fuck you up. But a guy who hasn't fought in over 2 years, which is a little bit of a red flag here. I actually think this fight is a bit of a 50-50 toss-up. We really haven't seen Newman challenged in that wrestling area. I think Murtazaliev is going to challenge him in that wrestling department. I don't know where I want to go here. The layoff for Murtazaliev scares me a little bit. And the fact that Newman is a bit green also kind of scares me off of this one a little bit, at least from a betting perspective. I'll take Murtazaliev here very tentatively. I'm probably ready to eat shit on this one. But regardless of the 2-year layoff, the guy has way more experience. Either way, I think this fight goes the distance. Give me Murtazaliev here for the win.
Yeah, I'm with you here. This is a guy who Dagestani wrestlers have been afraid to wrestle into. The only path to victory for Murtazaliev is to wrestle into him. But this is also a situation where I feel like Newman should get it done. I'm a little worried about Murtazaliev's inactivity because it has been a while since he's fought. This is a guy in Newman who I think is the better striker. I think he puts his punches together better. He's just a little low volume, and that's my only issue with him. So that's why this is a fight. It's either dog or pass or just stay off of it entirely, which is the pass portion of what I mentioned. I'll lean Newman for the skills and the NCAA background. I feel like he's going to probably be able to neutralize Murtazaliev and then land damage. Give me Newman for the win here, man, but like my brother, just not with a high degree of confidence at all, to be frank.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight, we have Kratos Rafael Xavier going one-on-one with King Carl Albrechtsen. Xavier is 13-8 overall, fighting out of Germany, repping Germany, 34 years old. Albrechtsen is 14-7 overall, fighting out of Sweden, hailing from Sweden, 31 years old. This This is a fight that on paper Albrechtsen should win, but this is a fight that Albrechtsen, in my opinion, is probably not going to win.
Yeah.
Xavier, despite hailing from Germany, is a Brazilian, but he's training in Germany. That German engineering, something to behold. I think this guy is the better striker, the more dynamic striker, the more explosive striker. I think he's going to knock Albrechtsen the fuck out. Albrechtsen should go to his wrestling here. That's where his advantage is. I think he might be the favorite. He should be the favorite just because of the wrestling alone, but I don't trust him.
He doesn't go to it as much as you like.
He should go to it more, but he doesn't. He's a knockout waiting to happen. Give me Xavier here for the win via KO.
Yeah, I'm with you here. And just to add on to a little bit more on that point, I think Xavier has developed his takedown defense substantially. And he's a guy that's very difficult to take down. This is the guy who dropped Simeon Powell in the striking exchange. You could argue he won the fight low-key. I thought it was a little bit of a robbery, to be frank with you. We knew Xavier would be a live dog in that fight, and this is a big step down in competition from Powell. Powell just dispatched of Albertson actually recently, so I mean, that should say a lot, and I think he's a raw fighter. This is a more polished fighter with improved takedown defense. Give me Rafael Xavier as well for the lead. I hope he's a dog because I would be smashing that shit.
Next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have Sergey Bilisteny going one-on-one with Carl Williams. Bilisteny is 13-4 overall, fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 29 years old. Carl Williams is 10-3 overall, fighting out of Atlanta, Georgia, but repping the Virgin Islands, 35 years old. Don't know what they're going to set the line for this particular fight at, but I think this fight should probably be a pick'em. I think Carl Williams is a little underrated. I think Bilisteny may be a little overrated.
Not really either, yeah, because Bilisteny can grapple too. And Bilisteny came out the Fedor camp, and Carl Williams just came over and gave Popov all the fuck he could handle. And it's interesting because Bilisteny's so much better on the feet, but Carl Williams has fought this kind of guy for a lot of his career. And he's been able to manage them and control them on the floor. He's a stud wrestler, good athlete, and now he has a full training camp. It's not like he's walking into the Popov fight on short notice. He came off the couch for that fight and nearly beat him. So for me, I'm going to lean Carl Williams just on the wrestling, and hopefully he's a dog because I'll probably play it, but this is a dog or pass spot in my opinion because Billy said he knocks him the fuck out and can manage some of the wrestling. I wouldn't be surprised either. So, but I'm on Carl Williams. I think Carl Williams is the lean. What do you have him, brother?
I'm also on Carl Williams, believe it or not. I think Carl Williams, I think he's going to be able to get his wrestling going here. I think he's got an underrated jab. I do worry about his chin here, though. So if you like the Bilisteny side, Bilisteny by KO is probably the way to kind of play this one. That being said, Carl Williams is going to be the larger man in here. He's probably going to be all of 265, maybe a little lighter, but I think wrestling is key here. I think Carl Williams is going to make this one a little boring. Give me Carl Williams here by decision.
100%.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have Baggio Ali Walsh going one-on-one with Ronnie Gibbs. Walsh, perfect. 2-0, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, 26 years old. Gibbs, perfect. 1-0, fighting out of Chicago, Illinois, 31 years old. 2-0. 1-0, very low level fight, very raw fight. Ronnie Gibbs, a guy who is a local here in Chicago, only got one professional fight under his belt. I think he's probably going to get ran over here by Ali Walsh. Ali Walsh also raw in his own right. This is only his second professional fight. This is going to be a stand-up affair for the most part. There's going to be a lot of striking going on. Ali's gonna be the better striker here in my opinion. I don't like Ali's defense though. He does get hit a little more than I'm comfortable with. This fight should end in KO. This fight shouldn't go to distance. Give me Baggio here. You know, he's the PFL guy that they've been, you know, propping up and really trying to push along forward here. Gotta ride Ali's dick hard. You know, ride the name hard. R.I.P. Muhammad, but goddamn. Give me Baggio here for the win via KO.
Yeah, I'm with you here. He gets hit a little bit more than I like, but I'm with you. I think the way the PFL is trying to prop this guy.
Yeah, man, the co-leader.
I guess I got them confused. I think the PFL is trying to prop him, and how they prop their fighters, I feel like they're just setting him up for a win here. So give me Ali Walsh via knockout here. I think he gets him the fuck out of there. So
next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have Rodrigo Nascimento going one-on-one with Oleg Pavlov. Nascimento is 12-3 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 32 years old. Pavlov, 20-2 overall. Fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 33 years old. Well, if you've been keeping up with our coverage of this world tournament, you know I try to fade the shit out of Nascimento here. And you know, of course, I was on the wrong end of that fucking decision. That's a fight that I think Mbilli should have won. I'm still pissed at that man to this day. That being said, Popov should do whatever the fuck he wants here with Nascimento. He's going to do what Mbilli should have done and pack this fucking guy up. I don't care that he was from the UFC. The man is overrated. The man sucks. Give me Popov here for the win. ITD. Fuck you, Nascimento.
Yeah, I'm still a little salty about Mbilli. He lost me some units that day.
Sorry, I'm still salty.
Yeah, he was a guy that dominated the first round and just fucking packed it in the second, third round. And we knew the fight was going to be close, low key. Like, after we seen the second round, I was like, oh, fuck, we might have fucked up here.
Oh, we did fuck up.
But he was a better fighter. And Popov is levels above Mbilli. Popov is going to pop off. I think he's going to hug him to death, low key. I don't think he finishes him because Popov is not like the biggest finisher. He's more of like a hug and tug decision guy, hump your leg guy. I think he's going to do it here. I think he's going to do whatever he wants. Ring the Barry Manilow.
He's going to fucking do it.
Bring in the red wine and fucking light the candles. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be romantic. And I think he's going to hug him. Nascimento is a black belt. I think he's going to be able to defend himself on the floor. But this is a guy who just doesn't finish his fights. I think the unders are sneaky here. I think the overs are sneaky here, rather. Excuse me. And I think Popov gets it done via decision.
Next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have Valentin Moldavsky going one-on-one with King Kong, Alexander Romanov. Moldavsky is 14-4 overall, fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 33 years old. Romanov, 19-3 overall, fighting out of Maryland, Berebin, Moldova, 34 years old. I know me and my brother are going to be split here. I'm going King Kong for the fucking win.
He's going to be a dog, so...
We didn't know what the lines are, but yeah.
I already know, yeah.
He's a fucking dog in this one. Moldavsky is the better fighter. He is definitely going to be the better striker here, but I think King Kong is going to just fucking roll this man. King Kong is not going to fuck around. He's going to take him down, and all 265 pounds of that fucking man is going to lay on Moldavsky. I think he packs him up in the first round. If he doesn't, I'm in deep shit. Romanov's in deep shit. I think past the first round, Moldavsky should pack him up. Another fight that shouldn't go the distance, and if it does, it's going to be fucking tragic. But give me King Kong here for the win.
Yeah, for that point, if this fight gets past the first round, I think Romanov's going to be in some real shit. Yeah. And this isn't the Black Widow Romanov. This is Alexander Romanov.
King Kong, baby.
There's a guy who, not the best gas tank.
Definitely not.
He's a gorilla of a man. Like, he's going to be able to, he'd probably take him down. But I just feel like Moldavsky coming out of the Fedor camp, he's prepared for this. And he can wrestle too. He's the better striker. He's got the better gas. I mean, this is an easy Moldavsky.
Yeah, I'm shooting for the stars on this one.
You are. Just bet first round. That's the best way to play it. Because if it gets out the first round, he's going to get fucked up. He's going to get fucked up proper. So for me, Moldavsky's fight to lose, give me Moldavsky second, third round stoppage here.
Next fight on the card at men's bantamweight, we have a showcase fight featuring the Phenom, Sergio Pettis, going one-on-one with Sugar Rafael Stotts. Pettis, 23-7 overall, fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 31 years old. Stotts, 21-2 overall, also fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but he's a ripe old 36 years old.
Great fight.
Excellent fight. And a fight where initially when I seen it on paper, you know, I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of a little back and forth on it. I think Sergio is probably the better overall fighter. You know, he can mix the martial arts. He's got some grappling. He's definitely got some striking. But Stotts is going to have the size. Stotts is going to have the wrestling advantage. And even though he's a little older, I think I'm going to be leaning Stotts here for the win. I think Stotts, if he gets his wrestling going, is going to drown Pettis. If this fight stays on the feet, I do edge Pettis here, but I just don't see it being on the feet for that long. I think Stotts is going to do his thing. Even at 36, the wrestling is just levels. Give me Stotts here for the win. He should pack him up, but I'm probably going to say decision.
Yeah, 100% on everything you said. I think it's going to be a decision fight, to be frank. Sergio is going to be a little undersized in this fight. Stotts is a big guy for the weight class, and Stotts is a fucking stud wrestler. I mean, this is a guy that they needed Merab to knock out for Merab to even get into the UFC. So they thought the world, the UFC did, of Rafael Stotts, and I still think the world of him. I think he's a stud even at 36 years old. I think good wrestling mitigates good jiu-jitsu, which Pettis does have. Give me Rafael Stotts to win this via decision here.
Next fight on the card at heavyweight, we have Antonio Carlos Jr., a.k.a. Shoeface, a.k.a. Cara de Zapato, going one-on-one with Smooth Simeon Powell. Shoeface is 17-6 overall, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 35 years old. Powell, 11-1 overall.
Pow, pow. Pow.
Fighting out of Ireland, but repping England, 26 years old. On paper, this is striker versus grappler 100%. Obviously, Powell being the better striker and Shoeface being the way better grappler here. Conventional wisdom does say take Carlos Jr. here for the win. I mean, if he gets Powell down here, I think it's just a matter of time. It's probably Carlos Jr. by submission, but Powell is younger. Powell is more athletic. Powell is the better striker. Powell can probably put Shoeface to sleep. And this is a fight where my gut is telling me take Shoeface, but I'm acting like a little pussy boy right now. I don't know if I want to bet it. Powell might knock him out.
Yeah, I totally get it. I think Carlos Jr. is a little underrated on the feet, but I think Simeon Powell is a stud athlete. He's 6'5" with an 85-inch reach. I think if he wanted to take Shoeface down, he could. I think he can match him in some of the wrestling exchanges. It's going to look, I think, a lot like the Thad Jason Jackson fight, where Jason Jackson technically is the better wrestler, but that is such a freak fucking athlete that it's like he's just having a hard time getting him to the floor at like that whole fight and getting to certain positions. So for me, this is a fight where it's like, I'm going to lean the younger bull here. Simeon Powell is a monster of a man, good in the clinch too, does land elbows. Carlos does have some upside here. I think his sub, if it's juicy, I will sprinkle on it. But if he doesn't sub him and this fight even gets to round 2, like, this is a guy in Shoeface who lost to Polizzi. Like, not to sound terrible, I know Polizzi's a good wrestler. Simeon Powell can definitely take Shoeface down and control him in certain spots. I don't think he's going to need to, though. I think he gets him on the feet. I think he beats him up in the clinch, hits him with knees, hits him with an elbow, drops him, and that's all she wrote. Give me Simeon Powell by knockout here. I'm not sure where you're at, but I think you probably are in a little bit of agreement. I feel like the belly is also telling me Shoeface, but my mind is telling me Powell. Just from what I've seen and the explosiveness and the fast twitch muscle fibers that Powell has and his ability to really dominate in the clinch if they get a hold of each other. I think Shoeface hasn't felt anyone like this before, in my opinion. So give me Powell by knockout here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be leaning Powell here against my better judgment, only because just 2 factors. 1, he's the younger guy that they're trying to showcase. 2, this is the PFL. And for some reason, if this fight does go the distance, somebody going to find a 30-27. No matter how the fight looks like,
just fucking crazy.
No matter how it looks like, Powell gonna get something like 30-27 in some weird ass kind of ruling. Give me Powell here via knockout, and I'm ready to eat shit on this one.
100%.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have Hercules Dalton Rosta going one-on-one with Aaron Jeffrey. Dalton is 10-1 overall, fighting out of Newcastle, Pennsylvania, 29 years old. Jeffrey is 16-5 overall, fighting out of Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, 32 years old. This is a banger of a fucking fight between 2 guys that I'm actually kind of very high on. On the Dalton side, I mean, he lives up to the fucking name Hercules. Guy's fucking chiseled, made out of stone.
Yeah.
Very good grappler. Striking needs a little help, but very powerful. On the other end, Aaron Jeffries, a guy who I think should be in the UFC. Very good grappler in his own right. Very decent striker. The IQ kind of missing on both ends for both fighters here, which right there tells me this is going to be a little bit high variance. And maybe I got a little bias here, but I'm going to be leaning Aaron Jeffries here. He just feels like the more polished mixed martial artist.
Agreed.
I don't know how they're going to line this one in particular. I'm going to say they're going to make Dalton the favorite here just purely based on the fact of the wrestling, but give me Aaron Jeffries here for the win. I think he gets this one done. 3rd round decision.
Yeah, I like the 3rd round decision look, and I think this is a pure dog or pass spot, to be frank. Dalton Rosa showed significant improvements in his decision making in the last fight against Sai, but the thing is, it's also against Sadibou Sai, a guy who is a notorious kickboxer, but notoriously hard to take down. He is older though now too, so we have to also have that asterisk, but I'm with you here. I think this is Aaron Jeffries. I think Aaron Jeffrey is the more complete fighter. I think he has better striking. He can keep up with the wrestling. They have fought before. Jeffries was able to defeat him. All my knowledge on what I see from these two tells me to lean Jeffrey, but for some reason this fight stinks a little bit.
It does.
And I feel like this is also a fight, since they're trying to feature Dalton Rosta hard, I feel like they can find a 30-27 card for Dalton, even if the fight is clearly a Jeffries win. So I'm on the Jeffries side here, man, but this fight stinks. It's a fight I might want to stay away from just because it's high variance, but give me Jeffries here, but not with a high degree of confidence.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight and is currently constituted the co-main event of the evening. We have Mr. Wonderful Phil Davis going one-on-one with Sullivan Cauley. Davis, 25-7 overall, fighting out of San Diego, California, 40 years old. Cauley, 7-1 overall, fighting out of Mesa, Arizona, 29 years old. I'm a little higher on Sully Cauley here than, most people. I think the kid's got potential. The kid's got talent, heavy hands, decent grappler, but I think this is a little too much. I think Mr. Wonderful, the guy who I literally try to fade the last fight that he had.
Call the under, by the way.
You did call the under, but I didn't expect it to look like that.
There's a reason people don't go after this guy. And it's not because he is a guy that makes the fight boring. It's just that Phil's so fucking explosive, even at 40 years old, that he can murk anybody walking into him.
100%.
And people like to keep their distance because Phil's fucking still dangerous. Phil's very good.
Phil reminded me that, hey man, listen, I know I'm a wrestler. I know I can be a fucking boring wrestler, but his last fight against Rob Wilkinson knocked him the fuck out. Did not see that outcome coming. I think it's going to be a little similar here because Cauley is a little bit of a kill be killed style fighter. Phil Davis should probably pack this man up. That being said, Phil Davis by decision. He's going to wrestle him for fucking 3 rounds. He shouldn't lose this fight. He shouldn't. Give me Mr. Wonderful here to win via decision.
Yeah, I'm there too. I think Cauley's a little raw still. I think he still has a little bit more development to go. He is durable. Like, the dude can take a shot and the dude is talented. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but this is Phil Davis's fight to lose. To my brother's point, I feel like this is a big step up in competition for him. Huge step up, to be frank. Phil's super experienced, been there with the best of the best and beat the best of the best in a lot of facets. Lost a couple, but he's beaten a lot of people, so a lot of good fighters. And even at 40, he's still a specimen, to be frank with you. So give me Phil Davis by decision here, but we'll look at some of the other lines close to the fight time to see if like an ITD is even manageable to play. But I'd be very surprised if he stops Sullivan. I think it goes to decision.
Next fight on the card, at men's middleweight, and is currently constituted the main event for the PFL evening. We have the assassin, Fabian Edwards, going 1-on-1 with Josh Silveria. Edwards, 14-4 overall, fighting out of England, repping England, 32 years old. Silveria, also 14-4 overall, fighting out of Coconut Creek, Florida, 32 years old. An interesting fight because Josh Silveria is a fucking dog. I've always been a fan of Silveria. I think his striking is a little underrated. I think his grappling is a little underrated. That being said, he's going against a guy who I guess I don't give him enough credit. Fabian Edwards, a guy who I just don't like personally. But I think in this particular matchup, it is his fight to lose. He's going to be the better striker. And as long as his the famous Edwards IQ don't kick in, where they want to wrestle the guy who's probably got him matched in wrestling, he should win this fight.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I feel like Fabian's going to pick him apart from the outside. This is a tough fight for Josh, in my opinion, because he's not the best offensive wrestler. Even though he's fought at a higher weight class, he's fought at 205. Fabian is training with Leon. Leon, yes, he got exposed by Sean Brady, but Sean Brady is a better wrestler than Josh Silveria, to be frank with you. Fabian did pick apart Impa, which I did call, by the way, too, as a possible. That's why I didn't touch the fight, to be frank with you. We made one play on that card, and we walked away. We walked away with our money. That card stunk in a lot of ways, but I didn't like the juice enough to play Fabian because I do love Impa. But this is Impa's fight. This is Fabian's fight to lose. Fabian is going to be able to pick him apart from the outside. Josh is extremely durable. Like, this fight does go the distance.
100%.
Josh is going to cage push in certain instances as well, but he's going to eat a lot of damage here. Fabian third round is interesting for a stoppage. I doubt it's going to happen, though. Give me Fabian Edwards by decision here. I think my brother's pretty much on the same side here.
We're in agreement.
And I think we could wrap up this PFL card from here. That's where we're at. But great card, by the way. Great fucking weekend of fights. This fight, the UFC card that we just went over, and now some boxing.
And moving right along into the boxing portion of our podcast, we're going to kick it off with Deontay Wilder going 1-on-1 with Tyrell Anthony Herndon. The Bronze Bomber, 43-4-1, fighting out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 39 years old. Herndon, 24-5 overall, fighting out of San Antonio, Texas, 37 years old.
Yeah, this fight 7 years ago would be second-degree murder to set up. They would be setting up, the promoters literally setting up a live execution for Deontay Wilder to just fucking knock this dude out. Deontay Wilder at this point in his career shouldn't be a minus 1450 against anybody. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, on talent alone, I get it. But like my brother mentioned, this is a timing fight. And yeah, I mean, 1400 nowadays on a Wilder fight, a little sus.
Yeah, and this is a Deontay Wilder. His last knockout was against Hellenius, and he cried after the fight. I think after the ayahuasca trip he went on, I don't think he's the same guy anymore. I don't think he has that killer. You have to have that killer in the fight game to really continue forward and be an elite fighter. That said, I can't even get around to this Tyrell Herndon guy. This is he is bottom of the barrel, man. Slow hands, leaves his chin up, pauses punches, takes pictures when he throws punches. I feel like Deontay's gonna knock this fucking guy out by accident. If Deontay cannot knock this guy out, he needs to just hide somewhere.
No, it's officially.
No, I mean, I think he's already officially washed.
It's officially like pack it up season.
Just stop. This, I mean, and it's crazy because in this podcast, we find value. I don't have enough balls to lay money on this 620 guy. If he was fighting like a Guido Vigniello or even like a Richie Torres, someone like one of those tiered heavyweights that's less than what he's been competing against, fuck yeah, you bet those guys. But at this point in his career, like even at this point in his career, he should knock Tyrell out. He should do him bad. It should be bad. For that, I'm going to say Deontay Wilder via knockout, but there's no value in playing this fight. So if you're going to play Tyrell, play him by decision. I'll take a look at that as well because he's not knocking Wilder out. He doesn't have the hand speed. He's not like a big puncher. He's not talented. Like he's just not. And he's very inexperienced. This is a big, like crazy step up in competition for him. But like I said, I think Wilder knocks him out by accident. Give me Deontay Wilder via knockout here.
Moving right along to the top rank portion of our breakdowns here. We got two fights here. We'll highlight the co-main first. We have Lion Arslanbek Makhmudov going one-on-one with the Big 12. Ricardo Brown. Makhmudov is 19-2 overall. Fighting out of Canada, but repping Russia, 36 years old. Brown, perfect. 12-0. Fighting out of Ontario, but repping Jamaica, 35 years old.
Yeah, I looked at this fight on paper, and I'm like, okay, how do we fade Makhmudov this time? Because we made money off his last two fights where he fought Agate. Agate stopped him. And we also made money off of Guido Vigniello, who fought him the last time, and he was a dog.
Yep.
Both were dogs. So we knew that Makhmudov was a little raw. He's still a little raw, still learning, but just a monster of a human being.
Huge fucking man.
Hits very hard. But looking at Ricardo Brown, this is a fight that Makhmudov should win. Ricardo Brown, decent hand speed, to be fair. I like the unders in this fight, especially if they set it very high, because someone's going to get served in this fight. Hits hard, does wind up in his punches a little too much, and he doesn't really jab as much as you like him to. He has jabbing capability. He's a big man too, but I'm going to pick Makhmudov to get it done via knockout here for two reasons. Not only does he have the better fight experience, but he also has more lineal attacks. Like he'll go up the middle with the uppercut, underratedly quick for someone his size. This is why watching fight footage is paramount when you're making picks, because I feel like Makhmudov, I almost remembered him as a slow plotter, but he actually covers ground pretty decently, especially when he's leaning in with those lineal attacks. And Ricardo Brown does not move his fucking head, dude. He's gonna get hit here. I feel like Makhmudov's gonna find this chin. I feel like this is a get right fight for Makhmudov. Brown can win this fight, so if the line is overly disrespectful, I don't think sprinkling on him is a bad idea, but this is Makhmudov's fight to lose. I think he knocks him out. I love the unders in this fight. Even knockdowns are a little interesting. Ricardo is somewhat decent with his cardio for a heavyweight, but not really. I just think Makhmudov's gonna find this shit and get him out of there. So give me Makhmudov by knockout for this contest.
Next fight on the card for the interim WBC World Super Middleweight title, we have Christian Mbilli going one-on-one with Maciej Sulecki. Mbilli is 28-0, fighting out of France, hailing from France, 30 years old. Sulecki, 33-3 overall, fighting out of Poland, repping Poland, 36 years old.
Yeah, Mbilli is a beast. He gets hit a little bit more than I like him to, like doesn't have the best defense, but man, he is built like a fucking tank. Has that body shot uppercut combo that Mike Tyson liked to throw, and he does it in like devastating fashion a lot of times. There's a guy in Sulecki who got dropped by Boo Boo Andrade, who is not a big puncher. Got outboxed by Boo Boo for the whole fight predominantly. Lost to Danny Jacobs before that. No shame in that. Danny Jacobs, the Miracle Man, fucking beast, very good boxer. But then he goes in there and I'm like, okay, he's gonna fight a plotter and Diego Pacheco, and he's gonna have a little bit better success. Nope, gets knocked the fuck out. He's beaten nobody. To be frank, he's lost to somebodies. There's a guy in Mbilli who is a somebody, a guy who is durable despite his defensive deficiencies. I expect him to walk him down and get Sulecki out of there between the mid to late rounds. This is Mbilli's fight to lose. Sulecki hasn't impressed me really with his fights. Not the best chin, not the best durability. As I mentioned, getting dropped by Boo Boo Andrade. Give me Mbilli to knock him out mid to late rounds here. Mbilli via knockout.
Moving right along to Anaheim, California on a Most Valuable Promotions, aka MVP card. Headlined by Jake Paul. We have a plethora of fights we want to cover here. We'll kick it off with Holly Holm going one-on-one with Yolanda Vega. The Preacher's Daughter 33, 2-3 overall. Fight out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, 43 years old. Yolanda Vega is perfect. 10-0. Fight out of Mexico, hailing from Mexico, 30 years old.
Yeah, this is a fight. You see it on paper. Holly Holm just signed with Jake Paul, MVP Promotions. Jake Paul kind of trying to help her prop, but prop her up and get her ready for some more big time fights, get her paid, and obviously to stick it to the UFC a little bit more. But if you're asking me, Holly Holm, 43 years old, she's going against a big girl in Yolanda Vega who has been active. She's an undefeated 30-year-old prospect, 10-0. She's a girl that when I first seen her first fight, she throws a lot of volume, comes forward, fights super Mexican style. But in her last fight, decent head movement, knows how to pick her shots, good slip and rip puncher. She doesn't have the best power. She's only got one knockout, but listen, Holly Holm doesn't have the best power either. She has much more experience in the boxing ring, but she's also 43 years old, and she's also not the biggest puncher. The girls that Holly Holm fought 10 to 15 years ago are not the girls that are there and present now in the boxing scene. I think the girls now are better. They're probably going to have Holly Holm as a favorite in this fight. If the line is disrespectful, I think a play on Vega is not going to be a bad look. Holly Holm in her last couple of UFC contests did not go to the striking a lot, kind of just went to the grappling. So how polished and how confident is herself in her hands and her hand speed and her ability to pick and pop and do what she's got to do. I'm going to lean her just off of experience. But man, if the line once again is disrespectful towards Vega, I don't hate a play there. Give me Holly Holm via decision here, but Vega via decision, also not going to be a bad look. Split decision majority might be a play here. Follow us on all social media platforms to see how we're going to play it.
Next fight on the card at 135 pounds, we have Floyd Kid Austin Schofield going one-on-one with the American Idol, Tevin Farmer. Schofield, perfect. 18-0, fighting out of Austin, Texas, 22 years old. Farmer, 33, 8-1, fighting out of Philly, 34 years old.
Yeah, so damn Tevin Farmer. You just like taking tough fight after tough fight, my guy. Lost the decision to Raymond Matalia. No shame in that. That guy's a fucking beast. Fort Williams was paid out both times. First fight was very close. You could argue fucking Farmer won. And the second fight, I thought he got fucking robbed. So for me, he's going into a fight against Floyd Schofield. He's taking this fight on short notice. I think he's taking this fight on short notice because Floyd Schofield is still kind of learning how to box properly, in my opinion. Super explosive, punches over his feet a lot of times like Manny Pacquiao. But Tevin Farmer, the more active fighter, has fought this style of opponent before, knows how to manage distance well, knows how to control pressure fighters, knows how to fight off his back foot. And I think he took this fight at short notice because he knows he can exploit certain things from Schofield's game. I think Schofield, super explosive, like I mentioned, covers point A to B very well. I'm curious to see how they line this. I'm assuming they're going to line Schofield as the favorite. And to my guess, they did. But ironically, I thought Tevin Farmer would be a bigger dog. He's sitting at plus 150. And there's a reason for that. I think this is a possible dog or pass spot. But unfortunately, because it's boxing, I have to consider that they're trying to push Floyd here, and Tevin Farmer might once again get rinsed on the fucking scorecards, even though he has a good chance to win this fight. But if you're asking me, from what I can see visually and picking who I think is going to actually win the fight, I think Tevin Farmer is a very live dog in this fight. Active, sharper, more experienced, and knows how to deal with this style of opponent. Give me Tevin Farmer for the upset here, but once again, considering that the judges might be in the pockets of the guy that they're trying to push here, Floyd Schofield's probably going to win this by decision. I think the decision both ways is the way to play this. Even though Floyd is an explosive puncher, he does go to decision a lot. I like the overs here. Give me Tevin Farmer for the possible upset, but don't be surprised at a possible fucking inside job where Floyd Schofield gets the decision here.
Next fight on the card for the WBA World and WBO World Cruiserweight titles, we have Gilberto Zordo Ramirez going one-on-one with Yunel Dorticos. Ramirez, 47-1 overall, the champion fighting out of Mexico, rep in Mexico, 33 years old. Dorticos is 27-2 overall, fighting out of Miami, Florida, but rep in Cuba, 39 years old.
Yeah, this is a great fight. And this is a great fight because it's a classic Mexican-style boxer who walks forward, throws a lot of volume. They had a very good showing against CBS's last fight, put a ton of volume on him. But CBS had his success in that fight. Dorticos is a very big puncher. He is killed or be killed, which is why I like the unders in this fight. Because he's either going to catch Gilberto and knock him out, or Gilberto's going to bury him with pressure and get him the fuck out of there. Particularly because Dorticos is also a little older. And this is a fight where someone's going to get served. Dorquitos has the capability of knocking this motherfucker out. But if you're asking me why I think it's going to happen, I think Gilberto's going to weather it. Good Mexican style chin. Wore a lot of damage from CBS, was able to just pick up the pace and just bury him with pressure and put volume on him. I think Gilberto Ramirez probably gets this done in the mid to late rounds of this fight. I'll say the late rounds because Dorquitos is experienced, knows how to handle himself. But I will be looking at the Dorquitos knockout prop here because he's sitting at a plus 620 underdog. I can imagine what his knockout's going to be. If you're asking me what's going to happen, I think Gilberto is going to knock him out in the latter part of this fight. Give me Zordo to get this fight done, round 7 through 12 of this fight via knockout.
Next fight on the card, and is currently constituted the main event of the evening, we have Jake Paul, the problem child. I'm not going to say his Puerto Rican nickname. Going one-on-one with Julio Cesar Chávez Jr. Paul, 11-1 overall. Fighting out of Dorado, Puerto Rico.
Fuck you, man.
28 years old. Going one-on-one with Chávez Jr., who is 54-6-1, fighting out of Mexico, repping Mexico, 39 years old.
Yeah, this is Jake Paul's fight to lose. He's going to keep him on the outside. Chavez is much more experienced. We get that. But this is a guy who lost to Anderson Silva. Jake Paul's a guy who beat Anderson Silva. He couldn't beat that old man in Anderson Silva. And we're UFC guys here. He's not beating a young bull. And Jake Paul, who knows how to work from the outside, works behind the jab. I know motherfuckers may hate him, but the guy does know how to fight. He has really developed a skill. I wouldn't be surprised if he drops him in this fight, Chavez. Jake Paul drops Chavez, rather.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me, I think this fight probably goes the whole way. Give me Jake Paul via decision here, but I will be looking at the knockout prop and a little more closely at this fight as the time goes on. Pay attention to all our social media platforms to how we're going to play this. This is Jake Paul's fight to lose. He cherry picks his opponents. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to make the big fights with the big names. He's not going to take a fight that he thinks he's going to lose. I thought he beat the Fury brother, to be frank with you. A lot of people thought the other way. I did not see the fight that way. I thought Jake edged him. And that's his only loss. I don't see this one being a second. Give me Jake Paul for the win here.
And last but not least, to wrap up our boxing coverage, since we're not going to be here for the 4th of July weekend, we got Jack Catterall going one-on-one with Harlem Eubank. El Gato, 30-2 overall, fighting out of England, repping England, 32 years old. Eubank, perfect. 21-0, fighting out of Brighton, Sussex, England, repping England, 31 years old.
Crazy enough, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a good live dog here. We got Harlem Eubank sitting at plus 200, which I'm very surprised about. And here's why. This is a guy in Catterall who lost in his own backyard to Arnold Barbosa. Taking nothing away from Arnold Barbosa, by the way. I think he's a very good fighter. I picked him to beat Teofimo. I was wrong, which is fine because I thought the line was disrespectful. But taking nothing away from Arnold Barbosa, the way Harlem Eubank moves, he's going to make Arnold Barbosa look like he was fighting underwater. Jack Catterall, probably going to be the bigger guy physically, wide-wise, but height-wise, they have Harlem Eubank at the same size and an inch taller, rather. For me, if this is a guy in Jack Catterall, he has to keep him on the outside to win this fight. If you're going to play Jack, it's by decision because that's the only way he really wins. But if you're asking me, the real money is on Harlem Eubank here. Me and my brother were watching some of this guy's footage. Good footwork, fucking explosive as shit. Knows how to manage distance. Really good with the hand feinting. Very good at taking the angles. Knows how to shift his feet to create the angles. He is a very polished boxer. That is very fucking athletic. For me, it's a dog or pass back because I feel like the fight could be close or Eubank could fucking catch him and drop him. Now, another thing I'm interested in is the knockdowns, especially like the one knockdowns. Jack Catterall, sneaky power. Doesn't have a lot of finishes, but does drop a lot of his opponents. The knockdowns, if it's over one, I think it's a good look, especially if it's nice and fat. Pause.
Hey, yo.
Like you have like a plus 200 plus on it. But for me, the real money is on the money line here for Harlem Eubank. This guy is a very talented boxer. And I think the world is going to be introduced to the Harlem experience on July 4th when he introduces fireworks on the ass of Jack Catterall. I think Jack is going to get hit here. I think Jack is going to be a little bewildered by his speed and his angles. And I think Harlem has enough to bring it back home to Harlem for the money that we're going to be betting on him possibly for this fight. And I think he's going to figure out a way to get it done. And I'll give Jack his respect. I think Harlem probably gets this done via decision. But money line and Harlem via decision is the way to play this fight because this fight could be close or Harlem could just take him to Harlem and take him to fucking school. Give me Harlem Eubank for the underdog play of the next 2 weeks.
And that does it for our combat coverage for episode 105. My brother, we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. So please take us home.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying the visual portion of this podcast. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know. Love you guys. See you guys. We gave you a fight for the July 4th week because we're going to be off. Enjoy it. It's value. I think Harlem's going to get it done, low key. Enjoy the rest of the fights this weekend as well because it is a tremendous fucking weekend of fights. See you guys next week. Well, not next week. In 2 weeks for episode 106. Holla at you guys. See you guys later. Peace.